So this is the first time, and I'm just going to give a round of applause to you guys for staying on track of time and allowing for us to be able to do our Q&A. And we got a lot of great questions out there. And the biggest one that we got multiple times, I'm gonna answer or ask the question, and I want each one of you guys actually to answer it for me. I'm gonna start with Christy. So the question is, what experiences do you have implementing with younger age groups? So like my 10U, my 11U players, and how do you gauge how much is too much for the younger players?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that comes down to it comes down to the coach and the athlete, right? I mean, some 10-year-olds are a little bit more mature than others. I think, and we've all said it on this phone call, the worst thing you can do is overwhelm a child, and it doesn't matter if they're 10 or 14. And so for us, we just try to take, typically one measurement at a time and one movement. I think that's something that, if I could give you any advice as a coach or a parent, don't overwhelm your daughter. It's like, can you pat your, belly and rub your head, or if it's the other way around, right? No, I can't, right? I can do one of them. And it's real similar in hitting. So really just try to focus on one metric, allow that athlete to excel and get good at it, have patience around the instructional piece. And I think once they master that, move on to the next. So that's a challenge. It's a challenge to focus on one thing, one movement, one metric.
Awesome. Victor, what do you think?
I would agree with her there. It's really important to not overwhelm them really quick. We have a lot of 10-year-olds that come in this facility, and we really like to keep it simple and show them a little bit of success. And actually, what I really like about the younger age versus the older age when they don't have experience is we get to instill that process really early, so they really start to, even though you're not getting complex and you don't want them to look at all the data, and as a coach, when they say, well, what about this, you can really kind of dismiss it and guide them back to where you want them to be, to where at a young age they actually train that process that's important to getting ready, for example, before you swing, and it becomes important to them, where before that was the thing that was important to them. What they seen is they seen the college girl, the image on the TV or the snapshot on Twitter was this big finish and laying backwards, and so next thing you know, they're standing over there laying backwards before they ever hit the ball, and you kind of take that out of the mix and get their importance where it belongs, where it's harder to do it with an older one. So I would like to say that, when it comes to blast, just because they're young, if you work it and use it as the tool that it is and show them the numbers, you can actually instill some really good habits.
Awesome. Thank you, Victor. Randy, do you have anything to add?
No, he pretty much said it all. I think just keeping it simple, keeping it fun. Like I said, we have kids from 10U to 18U, and I think if you can get the kids to buy into training with technology early, it's not so negative and scary as they get older. They learn to grow with it, and I think from what I've seen, that seems to be the way to go, as early as you can.
Krista, what about you guys over there at S2? Do you guys focus on a certain age group? Do you implement young? What do you guys do over there?
Yeah, so I would say for the younger ages, whenever we incorporate any technology, we just make sure it's around sort of competition and intent. So what I would say for something like a blast sensor, throw it on for a session and have them try to just get like as high a bat speed as possible, or something that's just about going hard and having fun. So I think as long as you have the right mindset for what it means to be a young athlete and what your goals are, that it's fine to use. The way I showed today, I wouldn't do for a 10-year-old just because they obviously have so much growth and differences that they're going to have as they get older. But definitely for something like intent or like a competition against their teammates, I think it would be a great motivator.
Krista, I'm actually going to keep it on you. This is a question that was specifically for you. You talked about how you use blast for in-game type swings. Does it work with soft toss drills as well?
Yeah, I think you just have to kind of decide what you're trying to get out of it. So I know a lot of people feel like as long as you're collecting ball moving, it's at least better than sort of going between tee and ball moving type drills. So for us, we just really wanted, when we're talking about progress and we're giving them that picture, we really wanted it to be as close to game-like experiences as possible. So what you saw in our graphs was just purely machine at game velocity and in game. But I think, you know, a lot of people feel that as long as the ball is moving, it's at least going to give you a more accurate. I think from my experience, because we use them kind of a lot, when you start going between something like tee and front toss and ball moving, the numbers start to get a little skewed and hard to read. So we just really try to make sure at the very minimum that the ball is always moving when we're putting it in.
Curious to know, actually, Connor, what kind of environments do you capture with Blast with Program 17? Do you just do generic practice, or do you bucketize the workouts as well?
Yeah, you know, we do a little bit of everything. I think that we want to be able to compare, you know, what does this athlete look like on a tee? You know, what are they doing when front toss? You know, how are they reacting when I'm getting in and throwing some pretty mean BP? And you know, of course, off the machine. And we have a hack attack, so, you know, it can throw everything. But we like to see what they're doing at every level. You know, we do have them, you know, some of them have the blast on in their game swings. Being honest, it's kind of hard to track, you know, from an outsider when I'm not there. But I think it's so important that you're able to do it at every level, so you can see the breakdown, because there's going to be something for sure.
I have another question for the group, and I'm going to start it with Randy this time, okay? So the question is, how do you guys train to try to increase rotational acceleration, and what are some drills or things that you do to try to increase that number?
Well, I think Victor actually had shown showed the player profile swings that we were utilizing, but I mean, we just talk about starting it from the very beginning, like Victor said. I mean, making sure that when you are trying to create that ground force, that, you know, you're not, you know, getting really big and bleeding over your back knee, or having all your energy move upward. Just being well connected and things like that. I think for us, it's just different drills. We might isolate drills to where you know, maybe you get into your heel down, you get into your toe touch, and then your heel drop, and then you still have your bat and everything back, and then you just isolate that move and work those moves. But that's how we utilize it. It's a little bit different for every player, because obviously every player is not. Some of them have really high rotational force, but the ones that need it, that's what we work on, things like that. If you have anything to add, Victor?
No, I would keep it right there. I mean, we really focus on making sure that they keep the pressure between their knees when they transfer forward out of that, going into the positive move. They don't come up out of the ground and lose that rotational force. And of course, there's so many measurements going into rotational force. If you get your, you know, if your early connection in your bat and the positioning of your bat gets out of place where you lose your 90s, then you also lose rotational force, because it creates a acceleration at the wrong time. And so we focus on all of the above, but the place that we start is working from the ground up to get their bodies in the right motion.
Krista, what about you? Do you guys do any type of drills to try to increase rotational acceleration?
Sure. I think usually it's an indicator that they have somehow lost, everyone's using ground force, and I agree, but somehow have lost energy by the time they get to sort of like foot down position. And so we'll do a lot just to make sure that they're, you know, getting that active stretch and sort of like tension through that stride. So what exactly goes into that varies a lot depending on why that's happening for that athlete. So I would say we just sort of try to identify why that is happening for the athlete and then go at it from there.